Hey everyone, Erica here and I am back with another video for you. So today I am going to be showing you my updated brow routine, but with a twist. I am going to be doing a higher end brow products versus a drugstore brow product. I did get some requests or some compliments from friends and coworkers saying that they do like this segment on my I do higher end makeup versus drugstore makeup, and it just gives them a good comparison. So with that being said, that's what I'm going to be doing today. My brows are in a weird phase right now. I don't know if you can tell, but this one here, right on the arch, there isn't many hairs to be accounted for. And on this one, it's a little bit more full with a little bit more of a defined shape. So I'm going to just kind of work with what I have, which is usually that's what the case is with brows. You just kind of work with whatever you have. So for the drugstore product, I'm going to be using the Maybelline Define-A-Brow. I am in the color medium brown. So this is it here. It comes with a little brush like this on one end, and on this side is where the actual applicator is, and you twist it like so. I will be giving a mini review on this as I'm using it. And on the other brow, I am going to be using a combination of the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz pencil, which if you've seen my first brow tutorial, you saw me use this already. But I'm also I guess the updated version of it is that I use the Brow Wiz along with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dipbrow Pomade in Chocolate. And this is something that I do when I have a little bit more time to do my makeup. I don't do this on an everyday basis. So that is what I'm going to be doing on this side, or whichever side I decide to do with what products. So if my face is looking a little funky, it's because I have just foundation on. I have absolutely nothing else on because I might be doing another tutorial after this, so stay tuned. Okay, so jumping on into the drugstore product, I'm going to be using this Maybelline New York Define-A-Brow. And let me mention a few things about this product first. This brush, I do not like it. It reminds me of the plastic combs that you get to like tease your hair and stuff. It's pretty cheap if I'm being honest, and when you brush it through your hair, you gotta like really brush it, and I feel like it doesn't do as good of a job as a spoolie would do. And not to mention, it's super hard to twist up. You cannot twist the product back down, so it's gonna stay out like that. So hopefully I use that much product. I'm gonna go ahead and take my mirror, and the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna pick up a spoolie that I think is a little bit stronger. This is just a Tarte brow brush that has a small angled brush on one side and a big old spoolie on one side. So I'm gonna go ahead and just comb through these guys a bit. And on this side, since this is the more full brow, I'm gonna be using this product because this brow doesn't need as much help as this one does, and I'm gonna be using more product on this side. So let's go ahead and get into this. So what I like to do first is I like to outline the bottom first. So what I'm doing is kind of outlining where I think my brows start. So I like to start kind of right here, not where the very beginning starts, but about here, and I like to outline the bottom line and drag out the brow as far as I want it to be. And a little trick that I probably did mention in the first video I did, if you aren't sure where your brows start and where they should end, a good way to measure is put a brush right up to your nostril, and that is where it should start. And if you tilt it to the edge of your eye, that is where your brow should end. So that is kind of just a good little guide to follow if you are confused as to where you should be using your product. So next thing I like to do, I don't actually do this specific step every time, but sometimes I'll start out by filling in the middle area because that is where you kind of are going to put the most of your product. You don't necessarily want a ton of product here in the front. So I like to just go ahead and kind of run this through. If you notice, I don't line the top like I did the bottom, because the top you kind of want it to seem a little more natural as opposed to sculpted so intensely like the bottom. And then I am going to very carefully line this front of my brow here. Again, we're going for a very natural look. I don't like the big, crazy, bold brows that look like they are intensely not yours. It's just a bunch of makeup. There's nothing wrong with that. Believe me, just my personal preference, I like natural brows. In the front of my brows, I like to flick upwards just ever so slightly because I don't want it to look too fake. I want it to look like actual brow hairs. So I'm going in the ow. Another thing about this comb, it hurts when you cut yourself in the face. I want it to look very hair-like. So in the front, they kind of go straight up. So I'm following the motions of the hair. And from there, I kind of just do the same thing and follow the hairline, getting a little more heavy-handed as I reach the outer part of my brow. So now this next part is totally up to you. What I like to do is kind of create a little bit of an arch on the top section here of my brow. We already have it created down here, but if you want your brows to be a little bit more pointy or a little bit more round, this will be the place where you can achieve that. If you want them really pointy, obviously, you just go ahead and take it out like that and then draw a straight line down. But we're going to go with a kind of oxymoron look. We're going to go with a round slash slightly arched arch. So let's try to achieve that the best way we can. So what I do is I flick the product a little out, if you can see that there. And from there, I'm going to draw down and meet up with that line that we drew in the very beginning. Okay, so one brow done. Obviously, you can tell that brows make a huge difference. Look at this one compared to this one. This one is much more, it's cleaner and it's a little more defined as opposed to this guy that I feel so bad for. This brow. It's just, it needs so much help. If this is a little bit too intense for you, or say you do go too heavy-handed with the product in the front or in the back, and if you want to lighten it up a bit, you can go ahead and take a spoolie, and these are great. This is why I love the Anastasia Brow Wiz, because it does come with the spoolie on the end and it's very firm. So you can really disperse the product. And if you feel like it's too dark, this will definitely help to move the product around. Just keep brushing and brushing away until you have it to the color that you want. And that's good for me. So if you can tell at all, brushing through kind of helps the front area and it's not so intense. I know that that might not seem like it's going to do too much, but believe me, it works. So moving on to this sad little brow, I'm going to go ahead and pick up my Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz pencil. I am in the color Soft Brown. And this honestly is like my brow heaven. I love this guy. Again, it comes with the brush here. It is retractable. You can roll it up this way and there it is. And you can retract it and now it's gone. This is the spoolie I was referring to. It just comes with it on the other side. So I am going to go ahead and roll it up to my liking, and I am going to pretty much do the same process. I am going to outline the bottom first. And then right here in this spot, I have very few brow hairs, so I'm going to start there and feather that in probably a little more than I would have done on this side, because again, like I said, we don't want too much product in the front of our brows, but if you don't have any brow hair there, you're going to want to fill it in because no one likes them bald spots. Okay, so now that that part is fairly filled in, I'm going to do the same thing on how I started with over here. After outlining the bottom line, I'm going to go ahead and fill in the middle section of my brows here, slightly lining the top where we want obviously our brows to stop. So here's the thing with this eyebrow. This one has all the brow hair here where the arch is. This one doesn't. The hair kind of stops and then it's scattered throughout the bottom. So it's really up to me to create the specific arch that I want. So I just really do my best as to recreate the one that I have on this side, which I'm going to attempt now. So again, I'm flicking it out as much as I want. And then from there, I'm going to draw downward. See, this one is still much thicker than this one, but that's okay. Your brows are not supposed to be sisters or twins. They're supposed to be cousins, related, and they might look a little similar, but they are definitely not looking the same. That's just how it's going to go. So don't beat yourself up over it. When they do not look the same, they're not supposed to. With that being said, I don't want this one to look too drawn in, so I'm not going to go crazy with the product right here. I'm just going to draw as much as I can on the hair that I am allowed Then again, I'm going to slightly fill in the front part here and flick upwards. The good thing with this product, I really do like to use both as I go. I spoolie through my brows while I'm putting product because it just kind of helps to disperse it evenly. I'm using a very light hand in the front again because we don't want that much product in the front. Okay, so those are pretty even now if you couldn't tell, but if you did notice, this brow is a lot darker than this brow, but we are going to correct that. Once I have the shape that I want with this brow, I am going to go ahead and pick up my Dipbrow, and I am also going to be using the number 7 brush from Anastasia Beverly Hills, which is just almost like the same brush I just mentioned, the Tarte brush, but this one is just a lot firmer. The spoolie is a lot thicker, and this brush is just very precise. It's a small angled brush. So what I like to do is obviously unscrew the lid, pick up the tiniest bit of this product, because let me tell you guys, a little bit of this product goes such a long way. It's waterproof, it's long wearing, it's not supposed to smudge, although sometimes I feel like it does smudge. So if you can see, there's just a bunch of little puncture marks because all I really do is dab it in it just the teensiest bit. Then I will take the lid and I will kind of push my product around in there a little bit so there isn't a ton of it on this brush. That is how serious this product is. So with this, I'm going to try to get in as close as I can to you here. And I am just going to first, because this is so intense, I am going to just first line the bottom and then just kind of flick this out towards the middle of the brow, because remember, this is where we don't mind having quite a bit of product, and I don't want to go ahead and just shape it right away with that much product on my hands, or on the brush. So I just kind of move this around a bit, and once I feel like the product has kind of diminished a bit and there isn't that much on this brush, I will go ahead and follow my line here. And then when there really isn't that much product, I am very carefully going to line the front and flick it upwards. And then we're going to comb through. So now this brow is darker than this brow, but this is really as dark as I go, this brow here. Obviously, I would do the same. I wouldn't probably go one day with doing, half and half and I'm out for a day on the town. I don't think so, but I did want to give you guys the full effect, what I would do for brows one day and what I would do for brows on another day. A big important step to consider when you're thinking about what product you want to try is definitely the cost. That has a lot to do with it. I think that the Maybelline Define-A-Brow is like $8, so obviously this is a bargain because it does work fairly well. It did the job that I needed it to do. It molded my brows perfectly, and I do like this pencil. There are a few things that I don't love about it, like this and not being able to unscrew it, but for being a drugstore product, I think it does work very well. These products are obviously a bit more on the pricey side. This pencil, I believe, is $22 just for this, but it does last me a while, and I do use this product every day. That is kind of a benefit for that. Dipbrow, I am not entirely sure how much this is. I think it might be along the same lines, like 20 bucks, but I will leave everything in the bottom bar as usual. The last step I'm going to be showing you guys today is an optional step, of course. It's going to be to conceal the outer part of the brow so it stands out, just to carve it out. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take some of my concealer and I'm just going to put a little bit on my hand because you really don't need that much. You can obviously put this directly there, but I want to be very precise, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pick up this teeny tiny detailer brush by Real Techniques, and I'm going to pick up some of this concealer, and I am just going to go ahead and go right under my brow. This is definitely like a step if you have the time to do it. If not, it's obviously not a big deal. Okay, and that's one. And if you wanted to do the top, you can definitely do that. But what I would recommend is pick up a different brush, or you can use the same one. It's totally up to you. And I'm going to pick up some of the foundation I used today, and I'm going to carve the upper part of my brows because you want to match it to your skin. So that would be the best thing to do. So I am going to carve the top Now that's going to be really easy for you to blend because it's just the foundation that you're already wearing today. Or if you haven't even done your foundation, you can definitely use that step. And I don't know if you can tell a difference, but this brow is looking a little bit more clean than this guy now. But that is it for my drugstore versus high-end makeup. I hope that this was helpful for you, and I hope that you learned something new and you get out there and conquer those brows, girlfriend. You do it, because brows are everything right now. So that is it, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.